Okay, we're going to take a bit of a look at the Broodmare size titles in both the USA and Australia after the running of the Breeders' Cup last weekend, and also now that we're well into the Spring Carnival in Australia. Lots of big prize money's been handed out, and we're starting to get an idea of how the Broodmare size titles are starting to pan out in those countries. I'm going to have a look at the USA first, and it's been interesting to see the rise of distorted humour through the ranks this year to finally reach the top of the tree and get the best of AP Indy, who's consistent year in, year out. Top 10 Broodmare Sire, sort of taking along the lines of Stormcat and Unbridled Song and horses like that. But this year, Distorted Humour's finally got to the front, thanks to Arrogant, the 7.3 million earner. The year before that, in 2016, Distorted Humour finished second to AP Indy and was only about 24,000 off it, or 20 or 34,000 off it at the end of the year. And you'll see the rise. And you go back to 2015 and Distorted Humour's back in 8th behind AP Indy, Unbridled Song and Stormcat and the Broodmare size title. And you go back to 2014, once again finished 7th behind Stormcat, AP Indy and Unbridled Song. And then back to 2013 where he started to get a few more of his runners around, and you'll see he's not even in the top 10 at this stage. Down here in 25th. So he's gone 25th, 7th, 8th, 2nd, only 34,000 off AP Indy last year. And then this year leads with a month and a half to go, and 2 months to go in the season by 1.7 million. And another 4 million back to Giants Causeways, who's the dam sire of Gunrunner back in 3rd. So you'd have to think that it's a good chance Distorted Humour might hold off AP Indy and Giants Causeway in the USA Broodmare size title for the 2017 season. The next one we're going to look at is Australia, where interestingly, Encosta de Lago looks to be starting to assert his authority as he seeks a 3rd Broodmare size title in the row. Okay, Encosta de Lago started to come on the scene as a Broodmare sire around the time he was dominating the size title with his first runners from his initial bands of broodmares when he first went to stud, and sort of started to come on the scene as a decent broodmare sire back in 11-12 when he got Essington, and he finished 29th that year with 2.5 million, well back behind Danehill and Zabeel, who are perennial for the last 10 years. Consistently there at the top for the last 10 years. That year, Danehill was the best, and he was the Broodmare sire of Sepoy that year. I mean, look what Sepoy's doing as a sire now. Interestingly, Zabeel was the Broodmare sire of Anachiever that year, and Anachiever's starting to get runners as a sire now too. But anyway, the next year, in 11-12, Encosta de Lago finished 14th behind Zabeel and Danehill. Then the next year, it's his real breakout year where he finished 5th behind the horses that were just dominating around that time. Once again, Zabeel, Danehill, Snippets, Flying Spur. Then to the 13-14 season, he really cemented himself as a top 5 broodmare sire in the country, behind Redout's Choice, Zabeel and Danehill, finishing 4th. Still well behind Zabeel in dollar terms, but this is where it starts to get interesting, because in the 15-16 season, he's 3rd behind Zabeel and Danehill, still 7 million adrift. The 15-16 season, he wins it. 2 million clear of Zabeel and Danehill with 16.7 million. And coming into this season so far, even though the 16-17 season, which is finished, he makes it 2 in a row with 4 million clear of Zabeel and Danehill once again. So you can see he wins the Broodmare size title by 4 million, by 2 million. And if you have a look, that follows on from his couple of 3rd placings, 4th and 3rd placings. So consistently getting better to a point where he's dominating now. So he's one to keep out well, obviously he's one to look out for well and truly as a Broodmare Sire, but if you have a look this year too, in the current season, he's also still producing the goods, and he currently leads thanks to being the dam sire of Mighty Boss, who won the Caulfield Guineas. He's now just in front of Rubiton. Don't expect Rubiton to stay there. He got Red Zell as a dam sire, who won the Everest. That's a big chunk, 6 million of his 6.5 million prize money. And once again, the normal suspects, culprits just behind Zabil's, Redout's Choice, and Snippets. So in Costa Lago seems to be cementing himself as the leading Broodmare Sire in the country. So just keep that out from a form perspective over the next couple of seasons. Yeah, that's our look at the current state of the USA Broodmare Sires titles and the Australian Broodmare Sires titles.